Hey there, traders of the market. All right, this is Terrence Tan, the Impossible Investor, and here's another recording for you on Zero DTE trading. Now, so we're trading the same day expiry options, and if you look at what the market has done the entire week, right, it might actually put you into a lot of fear, because if I'm going to put my mouse over here and I want you to take note of the range at the top. All right, okay, what you're going to see is this weekly candle over here actually has a range of $548.60 as the high, right? But it has a low of $481.80, right? Now, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to round them up to the nearest dollar. So we're looking at $482, right, to 549, right? And in case all of you do not know, right, that's a range of over $60 right now. And what we're looking at right now is really the SPY stock, right? So it's the stock version of the entire S&P 500 index right now. So the weightage over here is basically 1:10th, right? So if we have a $60 range, right, on the ETF stock, it also means that from the low to the high of this week, right, the S&P 500 actually traded a range of 600 points. Right now, just for those of you who are not very familiar with the stock market, right, the market struggled, right, to even move by 600 points in many years, right? But right now, it's doing it in the span of just 1 week. All right, now, so what do you think all this means? Right, what it means right now is there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of volatility in this market, right? And right, many traders are just freaked out, all right, okay, from taking any new trades at all during this period, because one thing they know is that any trades that they take right now comes with a lot of risk, okay? But when you learn and when you figure out how to trade same day expiry options, right, your ball game now is totally different. Now, why do I say that? Because if I still narrow this down to a daily market range, you can actually see that it still looks pretty scary, isn't it? Yeah, right. It goes whipsawed over here. People think it's going down, all right, only to get caught all the way back up. And then when people think it's going to go higher, all right, it doesn't do that. All right, now, so market ended in what we call an inside situation. All right, so there's no predetermined side right now until we have a breakout of the top over here, or if we break down from the low of this candle, right? So the market can still hit basically either direction. But okay, what I want you to notice right now is when I move it to a 5-minute candle, right? And in fact, all right, I'm going to justify whatever I'm talking to you in this video, right, with a trade, right, that I actually took together with my students just on Friday night, right? Now, so if you look at 9:30 candle over here, all right, after the market opened at 9:30, right, okay, the stock market or the SPY was still trading pretty much within, right, and up and down before breaking to the top, kind of traditional, okay, I wouldn't say it's traditional, but a kind of trend, yeah, right now. But if you notice my earlier blue lines over here, right now, what I have over here is basically a sell option trade. So together with my students, we actually sold the call options, yeah, okay, at 539 strike, right? And we actually sold a put option, right, at a 500 strike. Now, so when I narrow this down, right, to a daily range, do you realize it doesn't even appear inside the screen at all? Yeah, it doesn't even appear. And we basically have the market open at 523. So if I were to be selling, right, a 500 put strike, right, effectively, I'm actually getting a range of $23 on the downside, right, before my floor that I sold on the stock actually gets into trouble, right? And then on the upside, I sold a 539, right? So it means that I actually don't get into any trouble at all, right, unless the market moves up by 160 points, right? So many people mistake, right, the whole idea of how to be successful when it comes to zero DTE options, right? And there's a reason and there's a secret behind why, right, most of my trades are only in the market for about 90 minutes, right? So in 90 minutes time, right, I'm either going to hit my take profit target, right, or we're actually going to close the trade, right, for a net result. Okay, now, so let me show you the trade that we did over here. Sorry about the zoom. All right, and then I'll show you the entry times, right, as well as the exit times. Okay, now, so I'm just going to bring the filled orders for the day back into the statements, right? And what you're going to see over here is, oh, what's going on? All right, so let me bring it to the range. Okay. There we go. All right, now, so as you can see over here, I actually did an iron condor, right, which is a 500 put, right, together with a 539 call, right, and, right, we actually traded or sold this iron condor, right, for a net credit of 75 cents, right, so that means I pocketed $75 for each combination, right, for a net total of $225, right, so that was done at 9:35, right, so if you look at 9:35 over here, where was the S&P? Right, so if we look at the next 5-minute candle, right, the opening price of the candle was about 522, right? Okay, now, so that's when I literally entered the trade, all right, and this trade was closed out, all right, at 10:40, right? Now, so if you notice what happened at 10:40 over here, all right, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to bring you, right, to the 10:40 candle. All right, voila. All right, so the market did go up, the market did go down, but at 10:40, right, the market was essentially unchanged. Do you notice that? All right, because if I put my mouse right now where the candle is, right, it's about 524. All right, now, so that's what a lot of people don't understand, right, when it comes to the market, right? No matter how volatile market conditions is, right, most of the time, right, within the first few hours of the market, right, there may be a lot of choppiness, but it kind of just doesn't want to go anywhere. Yeah, right now. So that's something that we can capitalize on. That's something we can take advantage of, right? And if you love how to trade in this manner, right, then I definitely welcome you, right, to come into one of my introduction sessions, right, where I can share these secrets of how we build successful criterias, right, to win on more than 90% of the trades that we take out, right? So there's definitely a strategy around this, right, and to figure out that winning percentage, right? So in this trade over here, right, we net off, right, coming close to about $60 profit for that day. All right, now, so some of you will be wondering, Terrence, but $60 isn't a lot, right? But if you notice as well over here, right, I only took a 3 combination trade. Right now, so the capital required for this trade that I took out, right, was essentially only $1,500. Right, so pulling a $60 profit, right, on a $1,500 investment, right, equates to about 4%, about 3.5 to 4% return. Right, and the good part about all these strategies and these trades are the fact that, right, you can literally get a new trade every single day. Right? Why? Because we literally now have options that expires on a daily basis. Can you see right now? Right, I'm recording this video over the weekend, right, and we have an option that expires come Monday, right, another one come Tuesday, right, Wednesday, Thursday. Now, Friday is missing because next week is Good Friday, right? So we only have a 4 trading day week, but yet, right, we can potentially have another 4 zero DTE winners over the course of next week. And if you look at things right now, market is just playing crazy, right? But we just net out a 4% return, right? In what? In slightly over an hour. All right. Wouldn't you love to trade like that? One, because I'm not holding any positions over this weekend. Right? I don't need to have to worry about any trades in my portfolio for the entire weekend because I've already netted my profit. Right? And I can be fresh. I can be prepared for Monday, right, to seek out the new opportunity for that session as well. All right, now, so that's it from me for this video. All right, I hope you enjoyed your weekend over here, right? And ready yourself for a new week of craziness in this market, right? It's a tweet tester market right now, right, where every tweet can move the markets. And right, I hope you all the success. But if you lack a great strategy, why not come to one of our upcoming Zero DTE options introduction sessions, and I'll be more than happy to share with you how we do it on a regular basis. This is Terrence Tan, I'm Possible Investor, signing off for this video. I'll see you in my next one, everybody.